Hello everyone, my name is Paulina. Welcome to Bites of Books. Today we are doing challenge number 5 for the Booktubeathon, and it is to build a basically a class reader. So different books or reading assignments for a theoretical class. And so my class is going to be basically the struggles of humanity. What does humanity struggle with? It struggles with many different aspects of life, from disease to poverty, etc. So for that, there's going to be different units. The first unit is going to be humanity versus disease. Now we're going to look at two parts. The first part is humanity versus disease in the scientific sense. So we're going to read The Hot Zone by Richard Preston. And in this book, we explore the amazing advances in how science moved so quickly in order to figure out what the Ebola virus was and how to control it and study it in a safe way. It's really, really an amazing read for anyone interested in science or who doesn't know much about viruses and wants to learn what they really are and all the misconceptions about them. This is an excellent book. So that's the first aspect of disease that we're going to cover in this class, theoretical class. And then after the Hot Zone, we're going to go to a different aspect of disease, which is the personal aspect, which is how do people themselves deal with disease. And for that, we're going to go with Cancer Vixen, which is a memoir by Marisa Acocella Marchetto, and I think that's how you pronounce her name. But basically, this is a graphic novel of how she dealt with cancer when she was diagnosed with it. And it touches many very interesting aspects about it, from the psychological parts to all the questions that each patient has, to how to deal with telling friends and family members that you have a disease, especially something as complex and such a terrible disease that cancer is. So yeah, this is a very, very good memoir, and it is also touched with a bit of comedy interspersed in it. So it's definitely a very unique point of view in that sense, but it is definitely a reality for many, many people who go through this every single day. And then the last part for this unit is going to be mental health, which is very important. For that, there's another memoir, Wasted, by Maria Hornbacher. And basically this one looks through eating disorder and how she dealt with it, her experience with it and everything. And this is another part that's very important, because we don't just have to look at disease in the physical sense, like the things that you actually physically feel, but also the things that you that the invisible diseases, so things that you can't really see but that are still there. So this is a very, very important memoir to read for that. And then the next part we're going to look at is going to be humanity versus lack of resources, which basically leads to poverty and things like this. And for that, the main book is going to be The Grapes of Wrath, and by John Steinbeck. Now this is basically an amazing epic tale. I have talked a little bit about this one before, and so it takes place during the Great Depression, and John Steinbeck said in an interview that he gave, he said, "I want to put a tag of shame on the greedy bastards who are responsible for this." He says, "I've done my damnedest to rip a reader's nerves to rags." And that is really true. Like, you can really feel the desperation and everything that the characters go through. And in this unit, what I would love to explore would be the decisions that people make, the extent to which they go to in order to survive, in order to actually live in such a place where you don't have the resources anymore to live, where you have water, where you don't have food, and where you can actually see your children suffering and your family members besides yourself. And it's a very powerful book, and I think that everybody should read it, because it really paints a good picture of what it is like to live in such a state. And then along with that, we're going to look at another aspect, which is when you live in poverty and you're also someone who is already discriminated against, or you're a minority or something like that, or in this case if you're a woman, we go into and see The Locust and the Bird by Hanan Al-Shaykh. Now this is one of the books that I read for my TBR this week, and I already finished it, and it was amazing. It was so emotional and so powerful. But one of the main things about this book is that the main character here is the author's mother, who is who basically can't read or write, and so she has had her whole life wanting to tell her story in some way to people who haven't heard it, and she can't because she can't read, she can't write, and she sees her daughter as a means to tell that story. And so there's a very powerful quote here that talks about that and says, "I was never so desperate to read and write as I am now, if for no other reason but to write my story. Let me tell you how it hurts when a piece of wood and a piece of lead defeat me." And so that is the picture of her mother, Camila. And basically she was an amazing woman. She lived through poverty. She lived through a forced marriage. And then she finally was able to find love throughout the book. Like, there's so many instances of how love really can push you to do what you really want to do and not like just follow the rules of tradition or that other people put upon you because of your economic status or anything like that. So that would be the unit of humanity versus lack of resources or poverty. And then we're going to go a little bit different route and see how as a human there are many things we fear, but one of them is definitely aging and dying. And so for that, we're going to look at Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood, which is a very interesting, very depressing book about an older woman, an artist, who goes back to her hometown for a show that she's going to give. And throughout all that, there are things that she starts to remember from her childhood, from her teenage years, and so on. And we see how she struggles with accepting the fact that she's much older now, and that all of those memories that she had back then are basically non-existent, or if they are very faint. And it's something that's very scary for a lot of people, forgetting not just like other people or facts or where I put my phone or whatever, but also forgetting who you are and where you come from. And that's a very important aspect of humanity, of being able to recall not just your memories, your the things that you really need to learn or whatever, but also those values and those aspects of life that are really important, and that when you grow older, they might become I don't know, like they might become even more pronounced because you see how far ahead you are from where you were 10 or 20 or 50 years ago. And so this is a very it's a complicated aspect of struggle, but it is a very important one because we must also learn to deal with aging and what our legacies are going to be for our children and for everyone else around us. So this is a very important one. And then since that's a very complicated one, I thought that one book would suffice for that, and also I don't have any other books that deal with that as much. And then the final part, I think, is going to be something that really struck me when I read the following book, which is the struggle of humanity versus reality. So as decades and centuries have gone by, humanity has managed to have the technologies to not just make reality better, that is, scientific breakthroughs that allow us to communicate through YouTube, or through the phone, or whatever. But we also have the ability to create fantastic worlds where we can escape, where we can go and maybe de-stress or unleash our bad emotions or things like that. But there's also a very scary aspect about that. And so in comes Ready Player One, which is an amazing book. I really loved it. And in this one, the year is basically 2044, which in reality is not that far away. And it talks about Oasis, a virtual place where people go to play a game or to just spend the time, where basically they have another life, and a life that is just in the virtual world, and which, I mean, it's amazing. Like, they can do whatever they want in there, and it's all good. Like, it makes them feel good. But that is also escaping their reality. So if you see the picture of Columbus, Ohio, there are trailers piled on top of each other because there's no more space. There's no resources in order to actually live where they are. And only the very, very powerful, the elite, the ones who really have the money, have the power to live comfortably in the real world, while the others escape to Oasis. And so here we come to a struggle of humanity where we don't know what the line is, or if we do know, we kind of just brush it off as it doesn't matter, like, I'll be fine, you know. But the reality is that as much time as we spend in these virtual places, whether it be social media or other places, if we don't pay attention to the world that surrounds us right now, it will also be detrimental to everything else, because without the real world, there is no virtual world. So that would be basically my class reader for this course, which is Humanities Struggles. And yeah, that's what my class would be. So it sounds like fun, right? I would enjoy taking such a class. And so update on my reading. Basically, I have managed to read quite a bit. Oh, that fell. Okay, so the first book that I finished, I believe it was on day 1 or 2, I finished Soppy by Philippa Rice, which was so cute and amazing, just what I wanted. And it was a really fast read, and it was, I mean, even though it seemed like they were just like comic strips or whatever, like they actually do have a plot, which is basically of how they met, how they started dating, and how they move in together. And it is super cute, and it really reminded me of the relationship of me and my boyfriend. And yeah, it was just really cute. And then I have read now both volume 1 and 2 of Saga, which were amazing. I need to go to the library and get the 3rd volume, but I'll probably wait until after the Booktubeathon. And for any fan of fantasy or sci-fi, this is a really great graphic novel for you. I found many things really funny, other things kind of scandalous, maybe disgusting. Especially some of the monsters were kind of like, whoa, that's very like imaginative, but also very in your face, like, bam, like, I don't know, it was just a very big shock on some of those parts where it's a monster or things are happening. But yeah, it was really good too. So I have fulfilled the challenge of reading a book in a day with Soppy, and then for the challenge of reading a book outside, I read Saga, and then I read, over here, The Locust and the Bird, which is fulfilling the challenge for read a book with a person on the cover. And I think that's pretty much it for now. Like, those are the challenges that I have fulfilled. I still have to read my hyped book. Oh, I forgot. I also read Zelda Twilight Princess, which is a manga that my sister let me borrow. Actually, she kind of was like, you have to read this, and so I did. We both play the video game, and it's an amazing video game. We both love it, and this manga is similar to it, but it is not exactly the same. So it's really good. I do recommend it if you like the video game. And so I just have to read my hyped book, which will probably be Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, and also Girls of Riyadh, which is over here. And I've already started this one. It's gonna go a bit slower, I think, because it's kind of like supposed to be epistolary, like sending emails back and forth and things like that. but I might not be in the mood for it right now, but we'll see. I'll keep reading. Maybe it will catch more of my attention soon. And then the final one that I also said I would read was Chronicle for My Mother, or of my mother, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to it because well, we shall see. I mean, it's got fairly big font, but I don't know. Maybe. And then the other one that I'm reading is Copenhagen, which is a play, and actually it's in the kitchen, so I can't get it right now. But that one is really good. I really, really love that play. I have read it before. And yeah, we shall see how that goes. But that is it for today, and I hope you like my class reader. Maybe I will do some more discussions on some of the books that I mentioned, especially Grapes of Wrath and possibly Cat's Eye. And if there's anything else that you would like me to discuss from the books that I mentioned, let me know, and I will do that. So yeah, have a good day, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye.